What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Moves podcast. I am Jonathan Gonzalez here with...
I'm Jeff Luna.
And today we have an awesome guest, content creator. This guy knows what he's doing behind the camera and in front of the camera too. We have Mr. Mike Zuniga. What's going on, man?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
yes,
glad
sir.
to have you on. So for anybody out there who doesn't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So name is Mike, and what I currently do right now is I help business owners, professionals create content systems for their business so that they're able to efficiently produce content and still grow their business without both just clashing and everything burning to the ground. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So you try to provide like a seamless integration and be kind of like an extension of their team so you guys can kind of create content together.
Right. Yeah. So the biggest problem that I, have seen just working with clients, and actually it started with myself. So I'll just bring it back. That way it'll
please.
be easier to explain. Back in 2020, when everything was obviously going downhill for the economy and everything else, especially for a creator, is really hard, right?
Yeah.
Because I was just used to making videos and editing videos for clients. Majority of my clients were, schools, it was real estate, and other professionals that would just need content on a weekly basis, for example. And once, the pandemic was starting to get a little worse and worse, I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I make income around this, time? Like, how can I make consistent income without being around people, right? Because that was another hurdle.
Yeah.
And how can I do it with something that I'm already doing? So I was driving down the road one day and I would just see all these for rent signs, for lease, for all these office buildings. It's like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I have already, made videos for real estate, commercial real estate before. So I have contacts, in my Rolodex. So I just reached out to some real estate agents, specifically in the commercial space. And I said, hey, you are putting your commercial space for lease, or you're putting it out for lease, right? Or for rent or for sale. And you need a video. People need to see what the space actually looks like, right? I mean, you just have one or two pictures. It's kind of hard to kind of see. So a few people said yes, and that's what I started doing. But one question that a lot of these real estate agents kept asking me was, can you do those 3D tours?
Yeah.
Right? The ones like the 360 tours that you just click on, or you
like
can
a
move
Matterport tour or something.
Yeah, it's like a Matterport tour. I was like, okay, well, I haven't done that before, but yes, I can do that. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I just downloaded the Matterport app, and then I got my phone. I got like this tripod with me. I did my usual thing. I made a video of it, and I just added that as a package. Instead of saying, hey, it's going to be more expensive or whatever, I just kept my price, or I didn't like put down my price. I just kept the same price that I had, but I just added on that extra 3D tour.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I did. And to be honest, the first commercial real estate project that I did to film, I was still just trying to figure out how to do this 3D tour. It literally took me 4 hours.
Wow.
Because the good thing was just winging it. The good thing was the real estate agent, for majority of these projects, they would say, all right, here's the access key and things like that. So I'm literally the only one in like a 100,000 square foot warehouse office building. Yeah. But that first one, I haven't used the Matterport app yet. That was the first time I was using it. And so I was just going around. I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm getting it. And then, but with the Matterport app, it kind of like forms it together, right?
Yeah.
So after I walked around that whole building, I let it render, and I was like, looking at it. I was like, this does not look like the building at all. I was like, what does this look like? So what I did was I just saw that there was a feature there that I can just take pictures. I just walked every couple, feet or so, took a picture. Took a picture.
Mm-hmm.
I was just praying, just please let this work. So I went back. I found another software that was able to stitch all of these and create a tour, and then that's what I did.
Was that with a 360 camera then?
That was with a 360 camera. I just had like this.
Would you end up using like Cloud Pano or something?
It wasn't Cloud Panel. I know what you're talking about. It was a
Kula.
Kula.
I've heard
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And I just used Kula, and I just built a page for all these real estate agents, and I just kept reaching out to them. And the next step in the process was, okay, I am going out there. I'm a one-person, one-man band, filming and editing. How can I make this more efficient so while I'm out there filming, someone's editing?
Mm-hmm.
So the next step was to reach out. I went on Upwork to find an editor. And that's what I did was, before finding the editor, how can I systemize the process, the editing process, right? What can I do to show like, okay, here are the steps so that the editor knows exactly what to do. And what I did was I just recorded myself how I edited each video. And when I was out there filming the real estate property, I mean, if it's a warehouse, it's easy. Film this, and film this. And I did it all in a sequence. And then every single video was pretty much the same structure. It
was standardized.
Yeah. And then that way I created that system. The editor knew my schedule. I handed them the video files, and then they were able to edit it within 24, 40 hours. And so while I was out there filming, they were editing. So after doing that more and more, I started to figure out, okay, I'm able to build a system around this. Fast forward, a couple years after that, I would say around maybe late 2021-ish or so, I was in contact with, a couple of my friends from college, or not college, high school. And he just finished college. I just finished college. And, we were doing our thing, right? And so he was in the tax space. Mm-hmm. His name's Carlton Dennis. And he has a YouTube channel.
Oh, I've heard of him.
And so we went to high school together, played football together. And nice. I would say back in 2016, right? We would do like videos together, and he was in the fitness kind of like space, just still trying to figure it out. I was still trying to figure out, making videos and things like that. And so we would collab. And then after a while we would do our own things. And then like 2021, he was diving heavy into the tax space because that's what his family does. Right. And he was focusing on sales. He was trying to build his brand and whatnot. So we linked up, and knowing the system that I created for myself, I just helped apply that to help build his YouTube channel, Instagram, social media following,
and create style of content.
Yeah. And just create a system around that. So I had to teach myself how to, find a good social media manager, how to find a good editor, not just one editor, but an editor for each specific part of the process, YouTube, shorts, thumbnails, and then how to do it, how to systemize it to where the social media manager is leading the team, mm-hmm. right? So then now all they focus on is how to make better content and how to systemize the process for Carlton.
Yeah.
And then so once I, solidified that process for him, then I was able to move on to the next client, the next client, the next client, just plug and play from there. Nice. And so that was the basis of that.
Awesome. Yeah. So you've come a long way. It's kind of like, I'm doing a little bit something similar in my space too, but I to go back to pandemic times, that's really cool that you were kind of aggressive with like reaching out to these commercial agents, because that was one thing I had like a regret with. The pandemic was great for, I think, a lot of people, especially content creaters, but could have been more aggressive during that time. But that's really cool.
Well, that's all right. I mean, that happens. I mean,
Yeah,
I wish I was aggressive in a lot of things too, but hindsight's 2020.
Awesome though.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right?
Right.
Yeah. Nah, 2020, man, was like, it was an interesting time, you know, and even like for me, like in the real estate business, like, you know, it was like shut down for a little bit, right? We were like not essential, and then we were essential, and then you know, what tripped me out though was the unemployment, right? Like I remember our broker told us like, hey, this is the first time that they're doing it, you know, for self-employed people, right? If you're self-employed, you could apply for it. Oh,
yeah.
And it wasn't if you weren't making any money, from what I understood. It was if your business was affected. And everyone's business was affected.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because we had clients like that fell out, right? Say, hey, I'm not going to buy COVID, right?
Yeah.
Armageddon, you know? So we had a lot of people fall out. So I was like, hey, my business was affected, you know?
Right, exactly.
You know?
So it's like, what are you gonna do? You know, it's either you just sit there or you do something. So
yeah. And then we met, I think, in 2021, right?
We met 2021. Yes.
Yeah. So, damn, it's been that long. Huh?
It's been that. It feels like, you know, like last year.
Yeah.
But it's been like 3 years since all of that happened.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
To touch on, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay. To touch on your business real quick. So you went through all that stuff, right? You created all these systems and you have clients now. Where are you at today? Are you guys servicing, you know, dozens of clients? Or are you only focused on like a handful of great clients, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so right now we just focus on a handful of really great clients.
Yeah.
I would say most people like label it like a boutique type thing.
Yeah.
But that way we're really able to just add the strategy part to it. The next step is, you know, for the ones that don't need that actual done for you, they can just do it for themselves. The next step is to help coach them to do so.
Yeah.
But for right now, the main part of the business is focusing on that.
Awesome.
The done for you, you know.
And so I assume they're on monthly retainers, right? Is there a sort of a minimum to how long they have to be with you and work with you?
No. They're on a monthly retainer. We set everything up for them, and then we lay out like what's the best strategy for them. A majority of the clients that we work with are in the financial space.
Okay.
So CPAs, accountants, or, you know, they are actual, you know, entrepreneurs, business owners. They have courses and things like that, but it's mainly around like marketing or finance.
Do you find that to be your niche then? Is that something that you're kind of geared towards?
Yeah. Over time, it's just I realize the people that I'm, you know, working with and who I enjoy working with are in like the tax space, marketing space. And then after that, I figured, okay, well, I like hanging around with them. I like working with them. I'm able to really focus on this niche. And then that way just hone my message towards them. And I know what their needs are, what type of content works best for them. So I'm just focusing on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Carlton, because I follow him because his content is so great. I've been following for maybe 3 years.
Oh,
now.
That's awesome.
And so if you're producing it, the stuff looks great. Like it's really, really good.
Oh, look, it's all to my team. It's all to my team. They do a great job.
This guy says it's good. It's good.
It really is good. Not only does it look good, and also the substance of what he's saying is actually good too.
Oh yeah,
really good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like him and I strategize on a consistent basis. You know, what works, what doesn't work, what can we do now in terms of content. So it's always progressing in a way. It's always moving, especially with content, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always changing, especially like, you know, like the TikToks, right? TikTok came out. It was obviously big during COVID. And then you saw like YouTube come out with shorts and, you know, Instagram, the reels, right?
Right.
And everyone now is like all in on short form content right now.
Yeah.
You know, like I tell all of our team, like, dude, just make short videos.
Yeah.
If you do anything, just short videos, look up the trending sounds, you know, and just piggyback off that.
Oh yeah.
You know,
it's easy. I mean, well, it's easy to say it's easy.
It's hard to do, easy to say,
but it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that, you know, trips everyone up, and the reason why they don't do consistent content is, one, they don't know what to talk about, and they think they need all this fancy gear and everything. But the easiest content that they can get into right now is just on their phone, creating shorts, reels, and things like that. Just focus on Instagram.
And ChatGPT now.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
Type in video ideas. And
exactly.
Like 20 will come up. Yeah.
People just need like a spark. And this is what I recommend, majority of the people I work with to do, and I do it myself, is just go on ChatGPT, type in the top questions that are asked in your industry, and it spits out a list of maybe 20. And then that way now you can see, okay, I like this question, I like this question, I like this question. Now you can just formulate, the content you're going to put out. For a reel, right, it's like a minute. Every short is like a minute or less. And they ask like, okay, like how much should I talk? I don't want it to go over a minute or anything, right? If you're specifically creating reels, how I usually structure it is you have your hook, then you have obviously the main topic that you want to be talking about,
right,
and 3 key points. So as long as you have those 3 key points, you're talking about, it's probably going to come out to be 45-second to a minute length. Yeah. That way, you're in the safe zone. So you can just elaborate on that a little bit. Yeah.
And then like even what I'm realizing too is that what I need to mix in what I was telling Jonathan is, we have to remember the social media itself, right? Like why people are there to be entertained. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes I focus too much on like business when you have to entertain people sometimes, because that's why you're there.
Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah, really.
Yeah, and like I see like a lot, like I was annoyed with them when they first came out, but like those voiceovers, like people, doing like a movie from like Rush Hour.
Oh
like,
yeah,
and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah,
it's kind of cringy.
But see, I don't think you have to, because everyone, like some people that I work with, like how they have that remix feature on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Some people love to do that because that just fits with their character, right? They can just look at it like, oh, that looks cool.
Like reacting.
They don't have to say anything, but they just react with their facial expression, and it works, right? But other people, that's just not their style, and maybe they just want to just talk and just say a few points. And I know other people that post Twitter, like their Twitter posts on there, or do they just make it look cool? There's always like a different way to add content in there. I think Reels is the best way to go out and push more of your content.
Right.
But just like anything, I think a lot of people also get frustrated with content because they just want it quick. They want to see all the views, and they compare themselves with everyone else in their industry.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, one thing that I always like to keep in mind when I'm creating content is, if the S&P 500, if you look at it on like the day range, right? Very volatile, right? Yeah. And that's just you creating content, and it's just look at you creating content in like a short period of time. But if you expand it out to 5 years, 10 years, more value is produced in the market. You just see the line going up, and that just goes with content creation.
That's a very good way to look. I never saw it that way. That's a good way to look at it.
And the more I've seen this from a couple podcasts, with like content creation, people just talking about it, because I always like to just learn like how other people view it. And it's kind of like a scientist. I like to view content creation like I'm a scientist, just experimenting. When you see scientists, right? If something doesn't work, if an experiment doesn't work, they don't really call it a failure. It's just like, okay, it doesn't work. What can we do now? We'll take it as a note. It's a data point. How can we expand upon that to make it better or tweak something, right? Because the only way for you to see what works is to just keep doing it, right? Yeah. And then once you see something like not popping off or whatever as like not a failure, but like, oh, it's an experiment. I'm going to try this. Then it becomes fun.
Yeah. I'm going to stop you right there, because that's a really, really good point. I don't know if you've heard of this or seen this. I follow Team Gary V. And so they post the insights on how they've grown Gary V's channel, right? Because he's not doing any of it himself. He has a team of like 10 people, 20 people, whatever. They will take one piece of content, one short, and they will post it upwards of like 7 different times, and they'll do a different hook this time, and they'll add different music and different captions this time. And different stuff.
I heard that. Yeah.
And they'll post it at different times a day just to see what hits.
Yeah.
And the first 6 times it didn't hit, and the last time it goes insanely viral. And it's like just trial and error, like a scientist.
Exactly.
Right? Just like learning over time and just making adjustments, and then you see success. It's pretty crazy.
But I think especially if you have a business, right? I think a lot of business owners are kind of put off from content because the business comes first. And if like I see it as like 2 train tracks, right? You have the business train track, you have the content train track. When someone starts doing content, they're usually inspired to do it. They see someone else do it, like, okay, I have an idea, I'm going to start doing this, and it goes well. Maybe they do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month, and they're on the right path. Then there's a day when they don't have that, they don't feel creative, or they don't have that motivation, and then that's when the train derails. And then the business part starts colliding, and then they collide. And what takes precedence is the business. The content stops. And so I think if they're able to have just an easy system where they can just have a post every day, and that way they don't have to worry about the content at all. They just worry about it maybe like once a month. Then they can just focus on the business and have the content working in parallel with the business. And so that's why when creating content, I like to just batch the content in just one content day, or twice a month, and then you have all the content for the rest of the month, and that just makes it easier, and so that you can just focus.
Do you have a scheduler that you use, or because like I've been through a few of them now, and obviously when you do it yourself, like it just comes out way better. There's more location and music, and now when you schedule, you have to like pre-record it to like have the music already in there, and it's limited options when you go to schedule. That's the thing that pisses me off, because like I like it to look a certain way, and I feel like with all the schedulers available, even on the Instagram scheduler, you can't collaborate. Like
that's the only thing,
like the parameters are limited.
It's limited. It's limited. It's kind of like, okay, what are you able to compromise right now at this point with a scheduler versus what you like to do? I mean, I'm the same. I like to post my own content, but I know there's times where I just need to schedule content because you have all these other things that's going on in life, right? I use Hootsuite. I mean, I just haven't had any big issues with it, and they use all the main social platforms. So
I'd say they're one of the original ones, right? There's a ton.
It's one of the original ones. I've used different ones like Buffer. I've used whatever else, but Hootsuite I've just had more success with.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they integrate with more social apps.
You do what works for you,
Yeah.
Talking on that, because I think there's a lot of people out there who shy away from doing this stuff because it's unorganized and they don't know what to do and all this stuff, right? So let's dive a little bit into the softwares that you're using. Can you tell us some of the tools aside from Hootsuite that you use to stay on top of everything and manage the project and just make sure all your
100%.
connected?
So we'll start with Upwork. That's to find the editor, social media manager. Hootsuite to schedule posts. Next would be ClickUp. That's a project management tool. So that way we're able to see from raw video to final video that's ready to be posted. We're able to see the whole process. Next would be frame.io, and that's a great tool to collaborate with notes for video editing.
Right.
And the last one would be Slack. So that's just easy to communicate with just the team, instead of just texting and all that stuff. So that way everything is just in one spot. Yeah.
Super cool. We're using like a lot of the same tools.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many tools out there. You just have to apply them. Sometimes it's like ClickUp it's so hard to build out, right? People need to see like something and like know how to build it out, and that's what kind of scares them. But I think there's ways to simplify it.
Do you have a business line that you have when clients call?
No, just my cell phone.
Really?
Yeah, because that's one thing that I told him. We were using Grasshopper, like John. John told me about Grasshopper, and it just wasn't integratable with like a lot of stuff. He turned me on to one. It's called Open Phone, which has been great. It records calls and it differentiates a business call from the bullshit call, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So now I know, hey, someone's calling my 800 number, right? So now you answer a certain way, and you have a script and stuff. So that's been game changer. And then the integrations that it integrates,
it's incredible,
with
dude.
Yeah,
is really good.
It integrates with Zapier, so you can integrate it with anything. So when we have an appointment, right? I have an appointment with a client for real estate stuff.
Yeah.
Aside from content, it automatically sends text. Ravi probably gets the text all the time. Jeff gets all the automated text.
Yep.
Sometimes it could be, it's probably a lot of text message that you get, but it's an easy way for us to stay on top of things and like keep our clients in the know. Like, hey, your appointment's in 2 days. Hey, the appointment's done. We'll send you the stuff in 24 hours or whatever it is. So it's like,
that's good.
It's pretty cool to have those automations, and it looks like they're just texting one phone number from their phone. So that's what makes
very
it cool.
Huh. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Just being efficient.
Yeah.
With all this technology, it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
You just got to just know how to use it. But once you know how to use it, it just makes it everything better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was going to ask you, so you said that you work with guys making courses, making online learning. I'm a firm believer in paid advertisements, right? And a lot of people don't want to put up any money for ads. A lot of them want to do it organically. The folks that you're working with, are they doing a lot of paid stuff, or are they doing a lot of organic stuff? Because the organic reach now is pretty amazing, right? But how are they growing? Are they doing paid ads, or are they?
Yeah, they're doing both.
Both.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, when you have a business, both work together, right? Because, like, for example, I just noticed whenever let's say I click on an ad of someone I like, and they have a course or coaching program that I want to be a part of, I notice that the next step that I take is, okay, let me look at all their social profiles and see what type of content are they putting out. If they have a solid base of organic content that they're producing, that makes me feel better and more inclined to, purchase that coaching program or whatever else. Because yes, paid ads are great and they're needed, right? But at the same time, that organic content just helps solidify, validate you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I agree. Yeah, because like I tell everyone, like, people are gonna validate you by your social media, right? Like they're gonna see you on an ad or look you up, and then they're gonna validate you by going to your Google business page, your Yelp business page, your social media content, right?
Yeah,
and kind of see, like, it's like meeting you before they meet you.
Yeah, exactly. So, because a lot of the times when you have a good presence on social media, and let's say you go on a sales call, right? Majority of the time, from what I hear from my clients that already have content out there, like, oh, you're just like you are in the video,
same guy.
Yeah, same guy. I feel like I know you, everything. Yeah. It just makes the sales call so much easier. You don't have to sell anything. They're already in.
They're already warmed up to you.
We're already warmed up.
Yeah.
You're just taking their order.
Yep.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty crazy too, because he works with my uncle too. My uncle, he works in the flower business. He has a couple flower websites, like funeral flower sites.
Gradlays.com.
Gradlays.com. So we actually started Gradlays.com just a few months ago. And, we did like the purple look, and everything matches. All the social media pages match and everything.
Branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just did that like to make because again, if the site's not, if it's Mickey Mouse, people are going to treat it Mickey Mouse, right? It's like, oh, this is fake, or it's a fraud. You know? So he's actually doing pretty well.
Good.
I got him on the 800 number, so the calls are recorded.
Nice.
So I said, you don't have to write, because he writes down all the orders. He's old school.
Oh yeah.
Someone calls him, he's writing down an order.
He's just used to it.
I said, dude, now he's just listen to the recording, right? Hey, that guy ordered what? Okay, let me. You know?
Yeah.
So the site's doing great, and no one's ever heard of this site, and I think he has like almost 50 online orders, and we just launched it like less than a month ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it's crazy. So, but again, it's when you have the right audience, right, with the right message, you can't lose, right? Because Google, it's like, it tracks these people, right? They're searching for graduation lace. It's graduation season right now, so they're looking for this stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can get in front of them, that's who ultimately wins, right?
Yep.
If you're in front of the right people at the right time, just like in real estate, I tell everyone, it's about who's in front of the right person at the right time, who wants to sell, who wants to buy. Who's ever in front of them is going to win. And we're seeing that across the board.
Yeah.
You know,
and on top of that too, you know, on the topic of running paid ads and organic content, I noticed that, you know, with the marketers that I work with, when they retarget the people that follow them on all their socials, their ad spend or the cost of ads drops. Yeah. So as they bring in more people organically, they're able to just retarget back to them. And so that's just another strategy that they use, and just turns into a flywheel.
Yeah. I love that stuff because for the on the outside looking in, for people who don't understand marketing, when they're getting served ads all the time, they don't know what retargeting is, right? So they're like seeing ads every single day. It's like, dude, this guy's everywhere. Like, he must be like the real deal. But it's like, little do they know they're being retargeted intentionally.
Exactly. There's a process to that.
He's just everywhere around you.
Yeah, everywhere around you. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So for your clients, are you running the paid ads for them? Is that a service you provide, or is that something they're just kind of doing on their own?
They have their own team for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just focus on the organic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are they doing any like TikTok ads out of curiosity that you know, or what's like the top, like, I guess, lead source that they're utilizing right now?
Some focus mainly on Instagram, and then others do Instagram, YouTube. So it just depends.
Yeah. It all varies.
Yeah.
So
Facebook.
Yeah. Well, Facebook for my field, for selling homes, it used to be great. And then they came out with the whole, if it's for financials or housing, you know, you have to declare the special ad category. And it's been definitely challenging for a lot of agents, you know, because before, I tell everyone, like, if you sell golf clubs and you were in a room full of golfers, I mean, you could sell a lot of golf clubs, right?
Exactly.
But if you're in a room and like 20% of the people like golf, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's what Facebook ultimately did, right?
Yeah.
Is you can't target, and you have to declare, I think it's a 15-mile radius now, you know, and for me to run a real estate ad, 15-mile radius, it's like, bro, you know how many people live within 15 miles in LA? I mean, talking about maybe millions or hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's crazy how dense we are.
Right.
So it's like not even worth it anymore, you know, on Facebook. There are, you know, ways that you can get in front of strategically audiences, but that's another podcast. That's a whole other
I got a question for you, man. You've been in the content game for a few years now, and you've been, you know, making organic content for not only yourself, but your clients. We've seen like a big rise in this like Hormozy style content, right? Like a lot of captions, a lot of quick and just nuggets of information.
Yeah.
Do you see that being a sustainable way to post content, or where do you see organic content going? Like, what's going to become big next, in your opinion?
I mean, where I see it is like right now with short form content, obviously that style is great, right? It works, but just like anything else, everybody will be desensitized to it, and only the people that follow that person will just keep watching their stuff. So you got to think about, you can still do that type of, you know, speaking directly to the camera, or you can just create clips like you'll probably do with, you know, your podcast, right? And just finding a different style that works for you. So like, for example, like with my business partner, we have a software business, and we also have a podcast talking about the business and also talking about everything else happening in the business world. So for that podcast, which is about maybe 30 minutes or so, we cut that up into different clips. And within each clip, we just collaborate. Okay, what type of style can we do to make this still engaging, but not copying the Hormozy format, right? So all we do is just make little tweaks to make it different, like, different captions, because captions work. People, like 50% of people that are on social media, like on Instagram, they just watch videos on silent.
Yeah.
So you still need the captions. Maybe try different, B-roll clips. It could be stock footage. It can be GIFs. It can be whatever else, having it fly in and out. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. You can just test with titles. I think right now is just to test and see what works for you.
Yeah.
It's okay to kind of, in the beginning, if you have no idea where to start, it's okay to just copy a little bit and just add your own, angle to it. Mm-hmm. In terms of the future of short form content, I think we still have a ways to go to see how it's going to progress, but I think it's going to be here for the next few years because people are it's just an easy way to just
digest information.
Yeah, digest information.
Easy.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple people out there post online. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much expertise they really have, but a lot of people are saying that the next wave of that short form content, those who have actual like good production value are going to succeed. They'll probably do better if like they spend more time on the editing and like having nicer shots, and like not only does the quality of the content of what's being said have to be there, but the way it looks will matter a little bit more too.
Exactly. And when it comes down to it, the core thing is always, what type of value are you providing? What type of information are you providing? You can have all the captions, you can have all like the zoom effects and everything, but if what you're providing is not valuable in terms of your specific audience, then it's not going to, be successful.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you're going to determine success by comparing your content to the Hormozy style, seeing he has like millions of views and everything, you're never going to progress. You're never going to win. You have to just focus on that specific audience. And how I like to do it is just have blinders on, right? If I'm bringing in the people that I want to attract and be with, like for example, type of content I talk about is who I was 5 years ago. I speak to that person. Mm-hmm. Because it's just easier, right? And there's always people at that point where I was 5 years ago and what I wish I wanted to learn. But the only way now that I'm able to easily just say that is because I was able to add all those experiences from then till now. Like starting as a solo videographer, then, doing the commercial real estate, then building a team, having to learn all that, trial and error, networking was huge. How to network. I haven't run any paid ads. It was all through word of mouth and everything up till now, and how to build those relationships. But if I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't have been able to, I would just feel fake to talk about what I went through, because every person has their own unique experiences getting to where they are. And I think it's just easier to speak directly to, who you were 5 years ago. Because even if that's like your customer base, right? Everything's in line.
That makes
it just
sense.
feels in line.
You're answering the questions your younger self had.
Right.
Yeah. Going back to your origin story, is that where you started, when you started like 5 years ago, 2018 or so?
No. Okay. So I'll go back because I mean, first time here on the podcast. So, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
He was like 5 when he started.
No. Well, I recently was looking back at VHS tapes that my family took, like, family video tapes, right? So we had like this converter. So we're like, all right, cool. I'm going to sift through this. I'm going to see what I can find, because I totally forgot what I was talking about back then.
Of course.
And then I find this one VHS tape. I pop it in, and my mom's asking me like a question. It's like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm looking at myself. It's like, I want to be Steven Spielberg. And it's like, she's like, what do you want to make? It's like, I want to make movies like Jurassic Park, and I want to make movies like Star Wars and things like that, like George Lucas.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's interesting.
How old were you?
First grade.
Oh, damn.
So it's how old was that?
6-year-old, maybe?
6 years old. Probably 6 years old.
I was close.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You're close. Yeah, you were close. But I didn't realize that until like I looked back. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then now that I start to just figure out, okay, like what are the things that kind of led me to where I am today? Another one was, I remember we had, like a garage sale in the front yard. And my mom said, you can keep whatever you sell. I was like, oh, okay, nice. So I remember I would just go around. My mom she had her own section with clothes.
Yeah.
Like my dad had his own section. And I would just like kind of go around everywhere and just try to sell everything to everybody. But I had my Pokemon cards. I remember this one lady stopped by and she was like, oh, these are nice. I think my grandson might like these. I was like, oh yeah, he would love these. These are great. He would love this card. This card has like X, hit points or whatever. He'll love that. So I sold my whole pack of Pokemon cards and anything else, and I made $40. I thought that was $1,000.
Yeah,
probably 40 grand.
Yeah, priceless. But
I know you had only held on to that.
Yeah, to be honest,
400 grand, if anything. Dude.
I know.
Charizard, no. But looking back at it now, it's like I had that love for business and entrepreneurship, and I had that love for making videos. And so after seeing all that, I was like, okay, this is what I enjoy doing. How can I combine these?
Yeah.
So after that, right, fast forward a little bit, I played football in high school. One of shout out Servite. One of yeah, I enjoyed
quarterback?
it. Huh?
Quarterback?
No.
Halfback.
Safety. Safety.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say play defense.
Yeah.
Safety back.
Yeah. Fun times. But one of my goals was to play college football. So I was recruited to play college football at the University of Puget Sound, which it's a D3 school. And I was totally happy about that. That was one of my dreams. I played the first year, which was great. At the end of that season, this was spring training, and this was before summer break. We were doing some drills, and I remember, grabbing, I think it was either some object or whatever for the drill, and one of my teammates accidentally slid into my left leg, and I just felt a snap. I thought it was just a ligament or something. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit down. And this was with the football team and all the other sports teams, right? Because we were just out on the field doing this. I just sit down, lift up my left leg, and from halfway down, flops that way. I was like, well, broke my leg.
Your femur or at
my tibia and fibula.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So went to the hospital, got a rod in it, and I was planning on getting a job that summer, but obviously couldn't do that because I was on the couch.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, how can I make some money? I'm just stuck here. I had to.
You're how old at this time?
This was junior year of college.
Okay.
Yeah, junior year of college.
Hustling, bro. Always.
So, and so I thought to myself, okay, I used to sell stuff on eBay, just like things here and there. How can I make this more consistent? So I was like, all right, went on my computer, looked at what was the top sellers on eBay. What can I sell that's light, not heavy? And so I looked at these bracelets and these wooden bracelets. I don't know if you remember these, like back in 2013, like they had like the wooden necklaces and things like that.
The cross?
No, it's like
they're like beads.
It was like a peace sign. They have like different things.
Oh yeah.
But it was pendants, wooden pendants. And I saw those. Like, I like those. So I started to search. Okay, where are like the wholesale websites? So I saw it was like Alibaba, D&H Gate, and so I bought my first set, and then I just put them on eBay, and started selling. It was going well for a while until one time when there's this one pendant. It was, you saw Scarface, right? You know, like the world, the globe.
Yeah.
Well, it was that globe, but it was like, what was the saying on it? Do you remember? It was rule the world or something like that.
The world is yours.
The world is yours. Yeah. But
you
it just
infringed.
wouldn't. Yeah, it just wouldn't sell. It just wouldn't sell, you know. And I was wondering why, because all these other pendants were selling, and so I was like, all right, what's an angle? How can I get this to sell? I was like, all right, video. I can make this look cool. So what I did was, I got like a couple, like, you know, $100 bills, maybe like $5 bills, $100 bills, $20 bills, whatever. Yeah. I just put the pendant on top of there, just try to get some cool shots of it. I got my laptop, you know, turned off all the lights, and I played like Scarface in the background, and I put like a pendant right there, just like spinning around just to make it look cool. Posted it. I put the YouTube video on that eBay post. Okay. And within 2 days it sold, and I even upped the price to it. I was like, okay, video marketing.
You sold your first one
using the video.
Did it continue to like snowball from there?
Yeah, it started to snowball. I made $300, but nice. I was like, hey, you know, it was better than zero.
Yeah. So
that was a great learning experience. The next experience was, this was literally, well, I was in college, and one of the things that I needed to do in order to graduate was get an internship. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, where should I go? Oh, is that still on?
I'm just making sure.
Okay.
It's at 49.
Is it still recording though?
It's still recording right now.
Okay, just keep an eye on it.
But I think
you want to like pause it or something?
I think at 50 it's done. 30 seconds, pretty much.
To be safe.
Yeah, we can stop it if you want. I'll put another memory card in there. Just go ahead and cut it real quick.
So the next learning experience was I needed to get an internship. And that was required in order to graduate college for my business major. So I had to figure out, okay, where did I want to get the internship? I liked marketing. I liked management. I really didn't know what to do. So I just reached out to companies that I like, you know, Quicksilver and things like that. I even went on LinkedIn and asked for advice from other people there in the industry. And I got some good advice. I also reached out to friends or family friends or friends of friends that they were connected to. Mm. And one person popped up. It's like, hey, I have my brother who runs like this musical instrument e-commerce company. I was like, okay, cool. And his name was Nathan. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, hi, Nathan. I'm a college student looking to, you know, learn more about business and entrepreneurship as part of my internship. Would you be available or willing to, you know, have me on as an intern? I get this email back the next day, 30 questions. It's like, yes, answer these questions and we'll meet the following day. I was like, I'm writing all these essays in college. The last thing I want to do is answer all these 30 questions, right? But I did it. And so I answered all these 30 questions, met with him the next day, and then he became my mentor. He just showed me just the basics of marketing, what he's doing for the company. And then I said, hey, I like making videos. Look at this video I did for a family outing. And he was very open to it. He saw that I enjoyed making videos. And he asked if I could make videos, like tutorial videos for the instruments on his website. So one of his employees would just, you know, talk about the instrument, review it. I would edit it, film it, edit it, and then post it. Mm-hmm. And so that helped his business for the people to kind of see each instrument. So that helped with sales. And he gave me one piece of great advice. He was like, hey, you like video. When you go back to college, keep pursuing it. Just see where it can take you. So I looked back and I thought, okay, I had to close that chapter of football. Broke my leg. As much as I wanted to do it, I was at that crossroads of my identity. A big part of my identity was playing football, right?
Yeah.
And so when I had to close that chapter, I was still trying to figure out, who am I? Like, what's my thing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And the next best thing that I had going for me was video. So I reached back out to my coach, and I offered to create highlight videos for all the home games that next season. And to be honest, the team wasn't doing well, right? But I said, you know what? At least something to help them. And I didn't ask for anything else in return, just to place my name at the end of each video.
Yeah.
And if it was good, hopefully the team would share it. So I did that. The team shared it. More word got out. Eventually, the athletic department hired me to film all the other sports teams on campus. I was part of a fraternity, so I started shooting all the videos, promote events and things like that. And then other groups on campus hired me to do so. And then that led me to graduation day. One of my friends gave me this tip that the Seattle Seahawks, had this video internship opening and that I should apply. So literally after I graduated, I applied. And as I was driving back down to California, they replied back to me and asked to meet me at their headquarters. So literally, as I got back to California, I booked a flight back up to Seattle. But the catch was they wanted to see how I edited the videos in person, right? So I had to use Adobe Premiere Pro. I had no idea how to use Adobe Premiere Pro because that was one of the requirements. I was used to editing on Final Cut. So I had 24 hours. I was literally looking at all the shortcuts, just soaking it all in, figuring out how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. And I found out, it's pretty similar to how to use Final Cut.
Yeah.
But that 1 hour time slot that they gave me to edit just brought me over to Final Cut. And then I used Final Cut from then on because I just was more proficient at it. But I didn't get the internship, which was okay, because between the time I finished that interview process and the time I got back to California, it was a week long. So it gave me time to think. And I was thinking to myself, what if I am an intern? What if I become an intern there for the Seattle Seahawks? What are the pros and cons of that? Well, maybe I become, head of production in 5-10 years. And then that's great. But what are the cons? I'm stuck there in that business and all that time, right? I don't have that much flexibility. But I still had this pool to start my own video production business. I looked at what are the pros and cons of that. And that was, the cons were, if it fails, I can just start a new business or go get a job or something. But what are the pros to that? Endless, right? I have more flexibility in everything. So it was kind of like a blessing in disguise that I wasn't picked for that internship.
Yeah.
So after that, I just went all into my business. And so one of the things that I really, tell young videographers and creators, especially the ones that know how to film and edit, at least the basics, was go back to groups that you were once a part of and offer your services to them because they're more than happy to see you succeed. So that's what I did. I went back to my alma mater, my high school, and did the same process again. I offered to create highlight videos for the football team for all the games that season. Nothing in return, just let me put my name at the end of every video just for marketing purposes. They shared it, my name got out. Other schools within the county, wanted me to film admissions videos for them. And that's what I did. So I just started focusing on filming admissions videos for all these, private schools within the area. And then I started filming real estate, and then I started filming, filmed weddings for a little while, and all that progressed. And that kind of like led up to, where I got to at that point, 2020, to where it was, all right, I'm filming. I started building a team. Weddings taught me how to build a team and manage a team with filmers. I went from myself, literally the first wedding I filmed, I was so used to filming highlight videos that I thought I would film a highlight of the wedding, right? It'd be the same. Well, obviously you need audio, right?
Yeah, audio.
You need audio. And so this photographer that I linked up with, he was just, I'm thankful that he let me just film a wedding because the couple didn't have that big of a budget. They knew I was just starting out. Yeah. And he was like, where's the audio? I was like, I don't have the audio, but here's a highlight video. It looks cool, right? He was like, okay, just make sure to get the audio. From then on, I learned to get audio. Then I learned to bring in another filmer, then another filmer. And then after that, that helped me learn how to manage a team under pressure. Yeah. And how to pivot. So all those skills just help add on to what I was able to learn and apply to what I'm doing today. So
experience matters, man. Experience matters. It's funny. I love your origin story, even down to like the 5-year-old thing. Like
that's a hell of a journey, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have a similar story, just real quick. Like about a year ago, I saw a home video too, and I was messing. I had the camcorder in my hand.
Oh yeah.
I was probably in kindergarten or about the same age, about 5 years old. And my grandma in Spanish says, "Oh, he's gonna be a photographer."
That's
and me
awesome.
And my mom like watched it back and we like looked at each other like, no fucking way she said that. Like,
that's
pretty cool.
That's awesome. Like you don't realize that stuff like earlier on, but now when you look back, it's like, oh, it makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to be mindful of everybody's time here. We're going to ask you one last question before we let you go, man.
Yeah.
Let's just take it back to, let's say, the time where you just got denied by, the Seattle Seahawks, and you're having, all these thoughts, and you're thinking what to do next and where to go. If you can go back to that time now, your younger self, what would you tell your younger self then?
So this would be after I got denied by the Seahawks, right?
So you can go back right now.
What I would tell my younger self is to go even harder in networking. I mean, I networked, like I sent DMs out to other creators because at that point in time in 2015, 2016, 2017, like, all the Vine people moved to YouTube, moved to Instagram and everything. And so I made it a point to connect with at least these creators and other, business owners and things like that. So I would say the one thing was just to go more heavy on the networking aspect, because your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, where you find these people, or like if they're in a different industry, if you do right by them, and you don't even have to offer your services. If there's someone, how I network is I want to network with people that I would just hang out with, even if we're not doing business together. And if we could just talk and get value, that's who I like to hang around with.
Yeah.
And if I push harder in that networking aspect, then that would have been one thing that I wish I would have done. But to be honest, like, it's all good. I've networked with the right people, and I'm glad that I have the network that I have. Nice. Yeah.
Network. Start golfing, man. Start golfing.
Go harder.
You're right. I should. Everyone tells me I should, start golfing.
Hey, bro,
but
I mean, there's some golf courses where you can't be there if you're not that dude. You know what I'm saying? It's just not.
Dude, one time I was driving by, in like what's that one where it's like billionaires in
the Bird Streets
in
LA?
Billionaires Row?
No, in Washington.
Oh, Washington.
I remember I passed by this golf course.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it's like $200K. I heard it was like $200K membership.
Yeah, something
crazy, but yeah.
Cool, man. So
you're right.
You heard it here. Mike Zuniga, network. Go harder on
sir.
networking if you're not networking. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Love what you're doing, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for having me
if
on.
they want to follow you, what's your Instagram handle?
My everything on socials is Mike Zuniga Films.
Mike Zuniga Films. There you go.
There you go.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yes, sir.
Peace out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thanks, man.